the last year and a half have really been remarkable. Developing this kind of technology takes many, many years. Actually, Weebit is breaking some records in how fast we're getting this technology out to market.
Weebit Nano is an ASX Technology stock playing in the semiconductor space. They're developing their ReRam next-generation memory solution, and it's been attracting a lot of investors' attention after a rapid start to 2023. ASX WBT share price is up by over 70%. However, it's a potential upcoming catalyst and milestones that's been attracting a lot of eyes as it progresses towards that $1 billion market cap level. We're very excited to be joined by the CEO of Weebit Nano, Coby Hanoch. We'll be talking about the potential opportunity up ahead, their pathway towards commercialisation and first revenues, and what to watch moving forward. Coby, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you on.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
There's obviously so much for us to chat about, but before we talk about some of those key milestones, for those who might be new to the story, did you want to give the overview on why is ReRam necessary? We've already got memory. Why ReRam particularly?
So I guess, first of all, the world is becoming digital, and everything around you has more and more sensors, more and more digital everywhere, and any digital device needs memory. So that's the key point. Now, there are two types of memory. A key type is the non-volatile memory, which retains its data even when you unplug it from power. So like a USB stick or an SSD drive in your laptop. And today, the existing technology is called flash. It's been around for many years. It's common. It's a huge market. It's predicted to be more than $100 billion US in the near future already. And because it's an older technology, everyone's looking for something which will be more advanced, and ReRam is that solution. We are 100 times faster than flash. We consume 100 times less power, just 1% relatively. We have better endurance and many other parameters, but the most important things are the fact that flash cannot scale down to small geometries in the semiconductor space. Some people know the term Moore's law. It basically says that every couple of years, every few years, you manage to put double the amount of components on the same piece of silicon. Well, flash cannot scale down anymore. It got stuck at what's called 40 nanometers or 28. But the world is going down to much smaller geometries and needs a solution even at 22, 14, 10, 7, etc. ReRam actually can scale down, and ReRam, maybe the most important thing, is cheaper to manufacture, and that is obviously the number one consideration for many people. We add just 5 or 7% to the cost of a wafer, whereas flash adds 10 to 20%, and other memory types can go up to 40 and even more percent added cost. So that's maybe the key point why ReRam is really relevant.
All of that makes sense. And I think for those who have been following Weebit Nano's story, an interesting transition was the old tagline was the future memory. And now we've seen it transition to the next non-volatile memory. It almost seems as if this transition's come all at once. There's a lot of attention in the space. How's it been for you internally? And what are some of those discussions looking like?
So the last year and a half have really been remarkable. Developing this kind of technology takes many, many years. Actually, Weebit is breaking some records in how fast we're getting this technology out to market. And until just a year and a half ago, when I would talk to people, yeah, it was the future technology. Everyone would say, wow, amazing technology. But it's that future thing, right? And now there were several things that happened over the past year and a half that really changed everything. And now it's no longer a future. It's here. It's now. It's available. The two most important things that happened. One is that TSMC, the largest foundry in the world, announced that they have ReRam technology. And Infineon, one of the big customers, announced that they're going to be transitioning their flash to ReRam. It's now known already that the iPhone 14 has ReRam embedded in one of the chips there. So in terms of the market, it suddenly is, oh, wow, it's actually here, it's available, it's legit to actually ask for ReRam. And the other thing is that Weebit also got to the point where we qualified our technology last year. We showed that it meets the standards required to go into mass production. And we already have the first wafers from a mass production facility from Skywater that are functional, and now we're going through qualification on that. So, kind of certifying them as well. So, there's all of that activity that is around, Weebit ReRam is now available. It's here. And customers are now asking the different foundries, the fabs, to give them ReRam. And I guess the other thing that's been happening is that, when these foundries look around, they basically see that Weebit is the key solution for them. TSMC obviously is a competitor, so it won't give them that ReRam technology. And Weebit today is probably the key option for them. So we're talking today to the majority of these big foundries and big fabs in general. So there's really a lot of excitement now.
Plenty of excitement. Of course, you've been public with your goal of getting that signed with the tier 1 fab. Obviously, it's a commercially sensitive space, so you can't talk about how those discussions are going. But I'd love to know, what are those attributes that you're looking for with that next tier 1 fab that you're looking to sign? Who are you looking to kind of engage with?
So we're talking to some of these big fabs, quite a few of them. Several of them are in different stages of evaluations and discussions. Obviously these big companies are very cautious about bringing in a new technology because these fabs, for those who don't know, even the simplest fabs cost billions of dollars to set up. So they don't just want to bring in a new technology, and they're doing a lot of due diligence there. But these guys have a lot of customers, and so we want to reach the point where we transfer the technology to them. We license it, and obviously, we expect to get some license fees, etc. To that. So that's a key activity right now, meeting their requirements, and each one of them has different requirements or different emphasis, showing them that we can actually meet those and move forward. So there's a lot of activity. We set the goal to have an agreement with one of them signed by the middle of the year, and I really hope that with all of this, delicate work with them, we can actually show that and show initial customers, and so start showing some deals and obviously commitments to license fees, etc.
Fantastic. And then, of course, you've got your first partnership with Skywater as well. Can you talk about how things are progressing on that front for qualification? And it's also interesting because, of course, once you've qualified at Skywater, it's going to ramp up the speed to qualify at your upcoming fabs that you then do sign down the line.
Yeah, so qualification is a long process, and every time you go to a new production line, you need to requalify on that specific production line, show that you're ready on that line. With Skywater, we're already in the process of qualification. We said we'll finish it by the middle of the year. So that's ongoing. We hired a sales guy now in Texas. He's covering the US at this point, and talking to many potential customers who are interested in working with Skywater. And Skywater sales team is cooperating with us. They have it now on their website. So there's more and more activity going on now with Skywater to get those first customers on board, and that's really exciting. And we also have customers that are already expressing interest in working with some of the other foundries that we're talking to. So I keep talking about these triangles that we need to set up, where Weebit is providing the technology, and then a product company needs to take that technology and embed it into their chip, because they have what's called a system on a chip with a lot of technology there. Part of it has to be memory, and then they need to go to a foundry to manufacture at the foundry. So, we need to have a foundry that's able to manufacture the technology that we transfer the technology to, and we need to have that product company, and then all three companies need to work together. So we're building these triangles, and we have multiple triangles that we're working on right now.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've heard you talk a lot about that parallel work. So once qualification is achieved, is it looking like the customers are going to be pretty close to being ready in and around that time as well for that initial volume manufacturing?
So one thing that is important to understand is when a customer commits to using a certain technology like Weebit's, this is normally in the beginning of their project cycle. So they define what they want the product to look like, and they define what they're going to put in, and then they go into the design phase. And that can take 12, 18 months to actually get the design ready, and then go to the fab and start manufacturing. And they manufacture in the beginning, they manufacture samples, they test them, they qualify them, and so there's a process here to get to mass production. But this is ongoing. Now we're trying to work as much as we can in parallel. I mean, the normal way is that customers would just wait until we're qualified in the fab, and then they'll say, okay, now the risk is really low, and now we can actually go and do this. We just don't have the patience for that. So we're working with the customers in parallel so that they will start already working now, have that level of trust that this thing is working, this thing is going, we already qualified it elsewhere. And so that they will engage in parallel to us engaging with the fab and transferring the technology to them. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're trying to accelerate things as much as we can and try to parallelize what we can, even though normally it's a serial process where we're actually pulling as much as we can to do things faster.
It's an exciting approach with that. Sticking on that customer side there as well, I know you've talked previously about the analog and the IoT sectors. Are these still where you're seeing the most attention, or as the rise of ReRam emerges, are you seeing a number of new areas that are kind of might be that first area that you engage with?
So we're seeing actually a lot of areas. Each geometry has its natural users. When you're talking about 130 nanometers and Skywater, I mean, if you look at Skywater is well known for being strong in the aerospace domain. They work a lot with the Department of Defense in the US, but also the sensors and medical and things like that. So there are a lot of things that can be done at Skywater. Now, when you look at, and we taped out 22 nanometers, so that's already a different type of market, and there are many applications, many customers who are doing different applications there. So we're seeing, power management is a hot thing, and many people are talking to us about using ReRam for power management. And then going down, there are additional applications. Automotive is something that takes a very long time to actually qualify for because of the sensitivities. Human lives are dependent on these cars and stuff, so they need to go through a lot more regulation. But there are automotive companies that are talking to us now already and interested in looking at how, because they in their product cycles are longer and they need to make decisions early on. So there's really a lot of activity going on. By the way, something that I should comment on is beyond, we always focus on the embedded market and the fact that, we're working on transferring the technology and building these triangles and so on. One thing that I might even say, I don't know if surprised me, but I'm glad that we saw customers who came to us and said, listen, we actually need you to even do some standalone chips for us. Yeah, we know you were waiting for that selector to have even smaller memory cells, but what you have today is good enough for our specific application. There are niches in the discrete, in the standalone market that your current technology is good enough for, and we would like to have actually discrete chips there. So that's something that for me in the past I used to think of as further down the line, but now we have people who are actually pushing us to do that. And that's a different business model, because in this case we basically do the whole chip and we sell them final chips, packaged and tested. So it's kind of it opened up yet another niche. If you look at it, it's yet another niche of several billions of dollars that has opened up and that we can start working in. So yeah, we're swamped with with a lot of work, a lot of opportunities. The key here is to keep the focus, try to reach those first agreements. We're now working with many people in parallel. As soon as we get 1, 2, 3 agreements done, we'll be focusing really on those and making those successful. But it's very exciting times now.
Plenty going on. There's interesting takeaway there on the discrete side. In terms of that, obviously the early discussions, do you think it would maybe ramp up and accelerate the transition to the broader discrete engagement? Or is it maybe just something that if it comes up in a discussion, you might be able to do it on a more bespoke manner, kind of if one customer really wants it?
The discrete market consists of several, sub-markets, if you want to call it. The massive market is what's called the NAND flash market. But there are other elements in the discrete market, the NOR flash, what's called OTP or MTP domains. I won't go into all of the technical details, but there are some smaller parts of it where right now we're realizing our solution is actually a good one there. So the big NAND flash, that is 3D NAND, et cetera, we need the selector there. It's going to take us time to develop this selector. I told the market in advance, that's a few years of heavy R&D work that we're doing and we're making good progress on, but it's still going to take us time. But these smaller is everything's relative, right? When you're talking about several billions of dollars of smaller niches in the $100 billion market, it still is pretty nice, and I think we have a good opportunity there. So we're looking at it. We need to control what we're doing, right? We need to be careful not to. I say one of the biggest mistakes that some startups or some smaller companies do is they end up biting off more than they can chew, and then they choke on it. So, I don't want to be in that position. We're working with a lot of people, we're exploring a lot of opportunities, and we're doing it in a controlled manner so that we actually manage to make what we engage in successful and grow. You shouldn't lose your head even when everything's so exciting.
100%. I'm sure that investors will be happy to hear that. We've, of course, talked a lot about commercialization because there's a lot of exciting things happening, but the technology development continues on as well. There's so many things going on in the background. Can you talk about some of those key milestones and catalysts investors should think about on that side?
Yeah, there's really a lot of work going on the R&D side. On the one hand, we're qualifying now also for higher temperatures, which is a key element. So, right now we're working at qualifying also for automotive. You need higher temperatures, and there are different levels, and we're starting to look at that. So that's an important activity. With several of the major fabs, we're already looking at below 22 nanometers, and that's a key activity. Again, to help people who are not in this industry understand, the number of fabs that can manufacture below 22 nanometer is basically a handful in the whole world. It's very small. It's already extremely advanced technology, and working with these guys, and we're working with more than one of those guys. It's really very exciting. Obviously, the challenges are very big, and we really need to show that we can work there. But that's a big challenge. So that's another thing that we're doing. We're constantly working on improving the technology. One of the things about working in this space is R&D work never stops. You always want to have more robust technologies, lower error rates, and better endurance, better retention, higher temperatures. So there's constant work, very intensive work in all of these domains. And of course, in parallel, we have the selector that I talked about, that there's work going on. So it's very intensive, yeah.
It would be remiss of me not to ask, of course. You've had a stunning start to the year on the ASX in terms of share price, up by over 70% to start the year. Of course, that's not your focus. Your focus is on company progression, but how have you been reflecting on it internally, and what are your thoughts?
When we hit that $1 billion mark, what I call a kangacorn, because it's not US. In US dollars, it's called a unicorn. So I told the team, we can take one day to celebrate and enjoy it, but that's it. After one day, you need to stop thinking about the share price again. We don't control the share price when it goes up or when it goes down. On the contrary, right now, I feel like we have a very heavy burden to prove that we're worthy of this share price, that it's justified, and so for us, it's really we just have to work harder now. We really need to deliver, and that's my focus. I mean, people are surprised when I tell them when I wake up in the morning, it's the end of the trading day in Australia. And you'd be surprised, but many days I don't even look at the share price. I focus on let's get the work done, and I don't want the share price to distract me. So that's my focus, and that's what I tell the team. We just need to deliver.
Well, with that focus, if we were looking out to 5 years, what does success look like to you with the successful commercialization? What's that blue sky future really looking like for Weebit Nano?
Well, I'd say, first of all, I would want to become, a standard in the foundries, that many of these big guys will be using our technology, offering it to customers. So, with all of these big fabs that we're talking to really be transferring the technology to as large number as we can of those guys, and really establish ourselves as the ReRam company, the option that you go to, and of course have more and more products and that have Weebit ReRam in them, and build that royalty stream. It takes time to build that royalty stream. In the beginning, you close the agreement with these customers, and they pay you the license fee, and often there will be some NRE. They'll want us to adjust things to their needs, but as I said, it takes them time to get to mass production, and that's where the big thing, once the royalties start flowing in, that's when things really become exciting. So I want to see how we build a good revenue stream, a growing one. I mean, this year we'll just have initial revenues, not and I don't want anyone to have expectations that this year we're already going to be in the whatever crazy numbers. It's going to be building that infrastructure, and that's one side. The other side is obviously to in a few years, I really would like to see us having more and more presence in the discrete and the standalone market, and start having products that we do on that side as well. So that's really just justifying the market cap that we have today, building that revenue stream, and being able to provide nice guidance to the market.
You've officially become a kangacorn. It's an exciting time with so many different building blocks and avenues to pursue. Did you have any final reflections there for investors who maybe have followed the Weebit journey all the way through, or those who are just discovering ASX WBT?
Well, first of all, that I really, really appreciate everyone's support here, and we have so many shareholders that have been with us through. We had some difficult times in the beginning. It wasn't always so nice and great, and Weebit had its days of struggling, and people were there and supporting us, and kept their faith in us, and I never forget these guys. You know, I really owe a lot to these shareholders, and even today, I never take it for granted that many people are putting up a lot of their money in Weebit. So I really want to thank them, and I'll do my best to live up to the expectations.
Excited to see what's next in the journey. That's the ASX WBT story. Coby, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Thank you.